Welcome to Hack the Entrepreneur, the show which reveals the fears, habits, and inner battles behind big-name entrepreneurs and those on their way to joining them. Now here is your host, John Naster.
Hey, this is Hack the Entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I am your host, John Naster, but you can call me Johnny. My guest today is a former programmer turned marketer, father of 5, and a smart entrepreneur. An entrepreneur who has built some really cool businesses, yet stayed absolutely focused on the lifestyle that he wants for his and his family. 9 years ago, he started OnlineJobs.ph, now the world's largest marketplace for finding and hiring virtual staff from the Philippines. Since programming the first version of the site himself, my guest has grown the company to a team of over 20 full-time people. He is also the founder of Replace Myself, a site designed to help entrepreneurs find, hire, and most importantly, teach and manage virtual staff. Now, let's hack Jonas. I have a question for you. Does your website stress you out? From choosing the right hosting package to finding and updating plugins and themes, there's a ton to think about. When all you really want is a website that's fast, secure, and just looks good, right? I want to introduce you to StudioPress Sites, the answer to all of your website headaches. StudioPress Sites is a proven solution that gives you the ease of an all-in-one website builder, but with the flexible power of WordPress. It's perfect for bloggers, podcasters, and affiliate marketers, as well as anyone selling physical products, digital downloads, and membership programs. StudioPress Sites makes having your website easy because of zero hosting hassles. You sign up and get set up in minutes without the hassle of installing WordPress, buying a theme, or sorting out the best plugins. Plus, you get included security and maintenance features that keep your site safe. There's 20 mobile optimized themes included within StudioPress, plus trusted plugins and easy setup and testing. One-click install of all included plugins. It's designed to be easy and hassle-free, and yet you can rest assured that if something does go off the rails, the friendly StudioPress support team is standing by 24/7 to assist you in getting back on track fast. If you're ready to see for yourself why over 200,000 website owners trust StudioPress, the industry standard for premium WordPress themes and plugins, just go to studiopress.com/hack. Plus, as a Hack the Entrepreneur listener, you're going to get your very first month absolutely for free just for trying it out now. Go to studiopress.com/hack and get started today. We are back with another episode of Hack the Entrepreneur. And today we have a very, very, very special guest. John, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. I've been running this show full time now for about 2.5 years. And you were one of the very first people I wanted to have on this show. And somehow we've never touched base until now. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, good.
Cool. This is cool.
Yeah.
All right, John, let's jump into it.
Okay.
John, as an entrepreneur, can you tell me what is the one thing that you do that you feel has been the biggest contributor to your successes so far?
I have 2 answers to that. One answer is, and this is a weird one, but are my religious beliefs, where I believe strongly in God and I'm firm towards it, and I believe He helps me. And I think that has been the number one contributor. It's not really me, is my real answer.
Just kind of goes through you? You're a conduit for the success?
Yeah, I mean, I see it almost daily where it's like stuff just falls into my lap that shouldn't. And it's not of my doing often. Obviously I'm prepared. I've done, I take the opportunities, I work hard, whatever, but I just see too many things coming to me that aren't of my doing that are bigger, there's a higher power behind it.
Fair enough.
The second thing that the number one most effective thing that I do as an entrepreneur is think. And by think, I mean So I'll give you an example. I have someone come to me and say, hey, I want to build this cool thing, this app, this website, whatever it is, right? Because this is my idea. And like that's cool. That's really good. But there's so much that goes into building that website that the person doesn't want to think of. They just want to hire someone else to do it for them. And that's not how it works. And that's where I think I have succeeded is in saying, okay, we want to build this thing. Here are the 20 different pieces behind it. And here's number one. Here's how it should work. Here's exactly the steps, the user flow for it. Here's the sales copy for it. Here's what this should say. Here's what this button should say. Here's what this button should do. Here's where it should go. Here's what this page should say. That's what I'm saying. What I do well is I think through processes. And that's where I see a lot of entrepreneurs failing is in not being willing to think through the hard stuff, the stuff where it sucks and it's tedious and it's crappy, but the stuff that matters.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And you're probably totally right. So do you feel like that? So I know people would look at you then saying that you can do, lots of people call that like sort of like, well, it's the small micro tasks that need to be figured out and solved and answered to be able to act and build this thing. Do you thrive in that, or is it hard but you know it has to be done?
I hate it, but I know it has to be done, and someone else isn't going to do it. I mean, we tried it for a really, really long time of like saying, hey, programmer, build this thing. And they're like, okay. So they build it and it works, but it sucks. It's just crappy, because no one thought through it. No one took the time to say, wait a minute, why does the user want this? Why should they want this? Why should we do this at all? And how should it work for someone? And so, yeah, there's a lot of things like that I see in an online business that just have to be thought through. And sometimes you can hire people to think through stuff, but you have to hire the right person specifically to think through things. And those thinking people are not cheap.
Right.
So that's all I do in my business. That's all I do is think. And that's the thing that I think has set me apart from a lot of others.
Do you structurally within your day, week, month, year, whatever it happens to be, set aside blocks of time to do this, to think, and to not be just busy?
No. So for example, my day, I'm never just busy at work. There are two things that I do. When I sit at the computer, there is no YouTube, there is no Facebook, there's no news. I don't ever watch or read or consume any news. I don't look at Facebook ever. I never have seen the newest viral video. I don't do any of that. When I sit at the computer, there's two things I do. I look at my project management system and I respond to what people are doing, and I give feedback in the processes that are going on, and I give instructions on ideas that I've had. And so I'll sit down, like yesterday, I want to add an invoicing to online jobs. So I sat down and thought through it, like, we're doing invoicing for this purpose. Here's where I think it fits. Here's where I think we introduce it on the site. Here's what it says. Here's where it takes someone to. Here's what I want the invoicing to kind of look like. Here's why. And so I want you to do the design work on this. I want you to do the programming work, and I want you to do the integration with our current system. That's what I did yesterday. That's my thinking. The second thing that I do is I answer emails. And in answering emails, a lot of it I just get rid of because I don't want to answer. A lot of it, anything I'm answering is because someone needs an answer to something or a decision made or a thinking process. Like this thing isn't working right, or this thing needs to be changed. And okay, well, let me find a solution to that. So
fascinating. So two things here. Well, you mentioned two things, so I'm going to go back to the two things. The first one is not consuming YouTube, Facebook, all this stuff, Twitter, all these things that keep a lot of us busy. But so almost 10 years ago, when you were starting Online Jobs, this is why and how I know you. You were heavily prevalent in, I don't even know if Facebook existed at that point, but whatever it was, with videos, with You know what I mean? Like you were there and you were like content marketing in the sense of 2017 style in 2007, 8, 9. You don't seem to do that anymore.
I don't like it. I did a lot of writing and blogging. It was all on my blog. I did a lot of making videos and blogging, and I did a lot of webinars and teaching stuff. And I don't do it anymore because the webinars, I'm kind of tired of it, and I don't feel like I need to do it anymore. The other stuff, the videos and blogging, I don't do it because I don't like it, and I never really liked it. I just did it because I had to. So yeah, but in that I was never like consumed with looking at what other people are doing today because of Facebook or MySpace or whatever it was, or Twitter. I've never spent more than like 2 minutes on Twitter.
You were producing, you weren't consuming.
Right.
So, and you felt like you had to do it. So I'd love to know sort of your reason why you thought you had to do it at that point, and then like what sort of happened that now you don't, or you realize that, okay, we don't need this anymore.
Well, content marketing. I mean, that's how we got started. That was what we were doing. Today we still do it, although I have other people doing content marketing for me. I don't do as many webinars. I do hardly any webinars. What you and I are doing right now is content marketing.
Yep.
And so this is something that I do. But we do a lot more pay-per-click today. We do a lot more paid advertising. We do a lot more organic, participating in forums where I'm not the one doing it. I have people in the Philippines doing it for me, and they're really good at it. I do more kind of relationship marketing where I'm going to get into the product flow of someone else's product because our product is good. So
did you feel like you had to educate people on hiring VAs at one point, and now you don't? Now it's just common knowledge.
Well, so the way that we do it is different than what everybody else teaches, and it has always been. And when we started doing it, there was no such thing. Like there wasn't people hiring people in the Philippines realizing like, hey, there's something really good here in the Philippines, you know? So like we started that.
You did.
And, yeah. And we've kind of, not that we're the only ones doing it, but there just aren't that many people, right? Sometimes I kind of wish there were more people spending money advertising this thing of like, these people are amazing in the Philippines because we're the only ones.
Yeah.
So do I feel like I need to educate people? Well, the general concept of hiring a virtual assistant is different today than it was 8-10 years ago. And I also find that with online jobs, the marketplace that we have, it kind of self-explains. And then I created all that content starting in 2006, and I did it for like 8 years. And I just don't, it hasn't changed. You know, like hiring someone in the Philippines hasn't changed except for the salaries, you know? And so I created all the content. It's all out there. It all still, people find it. So not as much as if I were creating it today, but I'm tired of it.
But you're right. It does still work, because you'd be shocked how many times I've been told on this show that sometime back in like 7 or 8 years ago, I was listening to Internet Business Mastery, and some guy was on there and he started talking about hiring people from the Philippines. And from that moment, it all changed for me. And I realized, and it's like, wow, I remember hearing that episode too.
Right, totally.
So you're right.
And those episodes are still out there.
They are, and still working.
Yeah.
All right. So religious beliefs and thinking, spending the time to think and really tearing things apart like nobody else kind of in your business can do besides you. That's your 1/2 things. Now, all the experts, John, they talk about this 80-20 rule in business, that find that 20% that gives you the 80% of results, do what you're good at, and your whole thing is delegate the rest. Can you tell me something, John, that you were absolutely not good at in your business?
I'm really not good at design. I'm really not good. What am I not good at? Anything I'm not good at, that threw me off.
Sorry.
What am I not good at? I'm not good at creating marketing funnels. I wish I was better. Like Russell Brunson's a good friend of mine, and he and we spent a couple days together recently, and he's just talking about all this stuff he's doing, and it was like, man, I just can't do that. I just don't do that well. Or like building relationships with people is something I'm not good at. And so like I spend time with someone else, with another friend of mine, and he's like talking with all these people, and it's like, man, I wish I could do that. But so man, I don't have a great answer for you. What am I not good at?
That's a pretty great answer.
I'm good at getting people to do things for me.
You are. I know. So something like marketing funnels, Russell Brunson, I mean, that's his whole business. Everything's created around that. You hear this, you want to be good at it, or you know that it could help your business. What do
Right.
you do to make that happen? Do you just like ignore it and that's just never going to happen? Or do you think and try and implement marketing funnels?
So I work at home. When something I'm not good at, something I don't like to do, does it get done? Does it not get done? Does it get ignored? So like creating a marketing funnel, what I'll often do is I'll find a way around it. Like here's our website, here's this process that we have that fits a marketing funnel. It's not exactly like what Russell's doing, but I think it works for our business. And I'll start modifying or tweaking there. I have created marketing funnels. And usually if it's like, oh, we're going to create this from scratch, I'll hire a copywriter to write some stuff. But I've studied enough of it to see like, hey, we should put together an introduction that is shocking as a video and it pushes people to another page and it gives them real meat and it gives them a chance to buy, something like that, where we're like, I've just studied this process online of how to move someone along in an information funnel. And I don't like writing the sales copy. I'll do it if I absolutely have to. I'll do it if I feel like writing it is easier than finding a copywriter to do it, which is so painful.
It is.
Or what you said, sometimes it doesn't get done. Sometimes it's not going to get done because I find if something stays on my task list for a long time, at some point I'm just going to get rid of it because I know I'm not going to do this thing. And if it hasn't gotten done at this point, it's probably not that important.
So that's your sort of barometer of, because I mean, obviously tons of ideas, I'm sure, come to you, things you should do. Like you mentioned the payments, I believe, through online jobs. Is that what you'd say? Yeah. As an idea and something you wanted to implement. Did that stay on your task list long enough that you were like, okay, I'm going to do this? Or did this just come to you in the shower or while you were out swimming and you were just like, I'm going to do that next Monday?
So that one was an interesting one. Payment. So I mentioned invoicing. Invoicing was like a 2 week ago idea. And last week, my business partner and I discussed it. And yesterday I wrote it down and gave it to someone to implement. The payments thing, though, happened 7 years ago. My idea, like, maybe we should do this. And was like, oh, no, I'm not ready for that. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the mental capacity for that yet. We're not ready for this. There's too much risk involved and we just don't have it. And so it percolated, like it just sat in the back of my mind. And as things went forward, we saw reasons for having it, more reasons for having it, and kind of solutions to it. And what I have often found is, and this is a big thing for me, having other people working on my business, having these Filipinos doing what they're doing for me allows my brain to work differently than if I were doing things. So like there's stuff that I can do better than other people. Like I could be really good at doing pay-per-click. I'm really good at running Google AdWords. I don't ever touch it though. I could be pretty good at running Facebook ads, even though I'm not the most creative person and someone else is better than me, but I could be really good at that and it could take a lot of my time. But instead I have someone else doing it. And what I find is because I have other people doing things, my brain starts to solve all kinds of problems, knowing that I don't have to do the implementation of this thing. So the payments thing I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it mentally. I wasn't ready for it knowledge-wise. I wasn't, bandwidth-wise in my capacity. But my brain started solving the problem. And over a couple of years, it became clear like, hey, we need this. And hey, here's how to do this. And here's how to manage this risk. And it all came out. And it's great. It's going great now. So that was one thing that was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this right now. But it was important. And it kind of worked itself out as time went on.
How many people are on the team of Online Jobs at this point?
21.
21 people. So about 9 years ago, you started Online Jobs yourself.
Yeah.
So what sort of how did the transition, so from founder and you're the team, to transitioning to being the CEO, like you just said, this whole idea of thinking, not running the Facebook ads, not running the Google AdWords, because even though you're really good at it, somebody else has to, and you have to be able to think. You're the CEO. But it's a huge transition personally and professionally from a team of 1 to a team of over 20. What was sort of like, where was the hardest sort of point do you see in that growth and sort of staying ahead of it? And how did you manage that to like finally realize that I need to pull myself out of these things, even though I'm possibly better at it than this person I'm hiring?
I don't think there's ever a transition point for me. I don't think there ever was. I think it was a natural progression of, let me go back to a little bit of my motivation. What really motivates me is having passive, automated, recurring income. Having something that makes money for me without me having to do something for it is really what drives me. And so if I'm having to work for money, I feel like a failure, and I don't like feeling like a failure. And so in running my business, I was doing stuff, and there was stuff that I didn't like doing, and there was stuff that I knew needed to be done, but I didn't like it. And so I tried outsourcing to like Upwork. At the time, it was just Elance before Odesk was even around.
Yeah.
And so this is trying to answer your question of when did this happen? I hated it. I hated Elance because it was someone else doing some work for me, but it was a contract worker where they would like write 50 articles and then give them to me. And it was then my responsibility to do something with them, to add links to them, to make sure they're all correct, make sure they're not plagiarized, to publish them around the web, to link them together. It sucked because that person, that contract worker, couldn't manage the entire process for me. And if they could manage the process, it was very short term because that's the definition of contract work is 100% turnover. They're off looking for something else. And especially with Upwork, the way Upwork works, where you have to have feedback and lots of it and lots of good positive feedback in order to get jobs. So any contract worker's goal is to get a job done as quickly as possible and move on to the next so they can get feedback. And for me as a business owner, and in terms of my goal of passive recurring revenue, that sucked because it just put everything on me. And I didn't like it. And so I looked for other solutions until I found what I found in the Philippines, which was hiring these full-time people that could manage entire processes for me and take them off of my plate so that I could work on other things. And so I don't think there was a single time of like, hey, this needs to happen and I need to stop doing this and other people need to. I think there was kind of a progression of like, hey, I hired this guy and his full-time job is to do anything I want him to do. And so let me teach him to do something because I have to keep him busy full-time. And oh, he's done with this. I need to teach him something else. And now he knows 2 things that he can do regularly that are helping my business grow that I'm not doing. Yeah, it took me a long time to teach him how to do it, but now that guy's still with me 12 years later and he can do anything I want him to do. And so that was like a natural progression of moving away from me doing the work to other people doing the work for me.
So you almost immediately saw the benefit of, even though this job or task could have taken you an hour to complete, it might take you 20 hours to teach this guy, but you immediately saw the value in that because then it gave you leverage for the next 12 years of employment.
Well, I'm not sure that I immediately saw that, but what I knew was I hate doing this. And I know it needs to be done and I hate it and I don't want to do it. And so I'd rather spend my time teaching someone else to do it, even though I know how to do it, which is a really good tip for people looking to do this, is hire someone to do something you know how to do and teach them how to do it, because then you'll get that thing done the way that you would have done it, but someone else is doing it. So I don't think that I saw like, oh, I'm going to leverage. I'm not that smart. But what I did see is I don't like doing this and I know how to do it and it's really effective. And so let me get someone else to do it. And I finally found a way to get someone else to do it. And that has worked for a long time now and for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so with the team growing and with you being the one thinking about things and implementing, so whether it's payments and invoicing, that's a big one you've been thinking about for a long time. But I mean, you mentioned ways to acquire customers, whether it's paid or whether it's in forums. These ideas of things that if you're thinking and not actively out in the marketplace all the time, do you have sort of a process in place where your team members or some of your team members can bring ideas to you and then you determine whether you execute on them?
I don't have a specific process in place and this is probably different around the world with different kinds of employees, but in the Philippines, Filipinos are smart and they want to think and they want to contribute to the business. The key to that is that they trust you. If they don't trust you, they won't do it. And that trust, and so often we think of this backwards. As Americans, we think, I don't know if I can trust them, At the same time, they're thinking, I don't know if I can trust him, but their trust is different. They want to know if they can trust you not to laugh at them or not to yell at them or not to fire them or not to be mad at them because their work wasn't right. As soon as they trust you, that they have a long-term job, that you're going to care for them, that you're not going to be mad at them when they do something wrong, and it takes time to build that trust, then they'll start coming to you with ideas. So for example, I have this girl who worked for me. She's probably been with me for 8 years now. And for a long time, she had worked for me for a while. And then she started telling me, hey, we should be doing Facebook marketing. And I said no, because I hate Facebook and I don't understand Facebook super well. And it's the giant waste of time. And for me, the way I had always outsourced was getting someone to do something that I knew how to do. And it worked really well. It works really well for my lifestyle so that I can live and do the things I want to do. But I didn't understand Facebook. And she bugged me and bugged me and bugged me, saying, we should be doing this, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. I said, no, no, no. And I said, fine, bring me a plan. She brought me a plan and I was like, I don't like this, I don't like that. And she was persistent enough, probably because she wanted to be doing it. It was something she liked and something she knew that we should be doing. Finally, I said, yes, fine, you can do it. So I've never made a single post on our Facebook page, whatever it is. And I'm pretty sure we have over 130,000 likes today, and they're all legitimate. Like, she never did anything like paid likes or anything dumb like that. And we have all kinds of stuff like that where they've brought ideas in. But the key with the Filipinos is you have to get them to trust you first. Otherwise, it won't happen.
So persistence on her part and then bringing you a solid, legitimate plan.
Yeah, totally.
Enough that you could trust that this is worth at least the time, energy, and resources to try.
Yeah, and at that point on that thing, it was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to let you do whatever you think you want to do. And whatever she did has worked.
Right. But I mean, this could be something that obviously sort of the further you pull away from the social aspect of the business that you started as, more things are going to come up and almost be need somebody or people to implement those things and kind of stay relevant.
Yeah. And my guess is that if I had dove into Facebook marketing, like organic social media marketing, if I had figured it out and gotten good at it, it would have been done better than if I had just let her do it, is my guess. Just because what I often see in entrepreneurs is they're really good at doing things and they understand the business. The entrepreneur understands the business the best and they understand the customers the best usually. And so I probably would have done things differently than she did, but I would never have done it. And so even if she doesn't do it as well as I would have done it, doesn't really matter. I wouldn't have done it. And if I had done it, it means I wouldn't have been doing something else. And so something else wouldn't have gotten done. But instead, both of those things got done because I had other people do both of them.
Right. So it's either the entrepreneur wants to do that thing and would then take that reign and then spend all their time doing that and not something else with higher leverage, perhaps, or else they let this person start. But then when they see that it's not being done quite as well as they would have, they then jump in and now they ignore everything else. You totally somehow have this self-control to stay out of the way.
Yeah. Here's the other scenario that I see. They see it's not being done right. And so they say, oh, you suck. And then they come to me and say, oh, I hired this person. They didn't do it right. So I fired them and now I have to do it myself. And it's like, this doesn't work. Well, that's not really how it went. And I can tell because I talked to your worker because they came and complained to me. And what really happened was you gave them crappy instructions that they didn't understand, even though you thought they were the most clear instructions ever. I know because they sent them to me and I looked at them and was like, I don't even know what you want me to do here. And so then now they're back doing it themselves instead of working through this problem, even though it takes a couple of weeks sometimes to work through a problem like this to get it going, where if you're willing to work through those weeks, of issues or months or years of issues, then it runs itself. Instead, most people don't have the patience to do that, don't have the willingness to see the long term of it, and they just do it themselves.
And this is also where Replace Myself comes from. In a way.
Yeah. And what?
Like in a way, like you sell. So when that person is stuck, and not only do you say, well, you have to teach them, and then they're like, oh, I don't know what to teach them. Well, here's what you teach them.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea behind Replace Myself, which is I teach how and why to hire Filipino workers. And then the biggest pain point is, okay, so here's what happened. I had a friend of mine call me. I helped him hire someone. This is 10 or 11 years ago. I helped him hire someone, and he calls me, I don't know, the next day. I don't remember exactly how it happened. And he says, John, my girl just instant messaged me and said, sir, I finished the first task you gave me. What do you want me to do with the other 7.5 hours today? And he was like, I thought this was going to take her like 4 or 5 hours or 2 days, and it took her half an hour. And now what do I do? Because I'm busy and I don't have the time to create something else in the teacher. And that was kind of when I realized, like, oh, people want training to give to these workers. And so I created that training to give to those workers, which is hard. It's hard to create training. It's hard to teach people how to do stuff.
It's super hard. And the thing that most people would want to hear, you would think, is that I'm done in half an hour, not 8 hours. But you're right. That's the greatest fear people hiring those is that now what do I give them?
Yeah, right.
Now they're just sitting there.
He was freaking out because it only took her half an hour, which, sounds awesome until it actually happens to you. And then it's like, oh, I'm looking at Facebook and just wasted an hour of my time when I could have spent that time teaching someone how to do something,
So Replace Myself seems like it should be one of the greatest, most profitable businesses in the world right now because of the struggle of hundreds of thousands of people hiring millions of people digitally to do this virtual work. And it's only getting bigger. Is this the case with Replace Myself?
No, because creating training is really hard. And the internet changes so fast. And I like passive, recurring, I don't touch it revenues. And Replace Myself is not. Some of it is, but maintaining that content training is hard. It's hard. And so I hired someone else to do it, and she did a really good job of it for years. And then she moved on and is running her own business. And I just haven't hired someone else to do it. I'm working on redoing some of the training. So I'm pretty careful about selling something that isn't really great. And right now, Replace Myself isn't really great because it's hard to maintain trainings. And I haven't maintained them as well as I needed to. And so I'm working on updating everything, but that's why it's not the greatest thing ever. But Online Jobs is, because the people in the Philippines are so great and people want to hire them and they're so stinking affordable, and it's really good.
So that's the struggle. It's keeping the trainings, especially, they're so complementary. Online Jobs, you have a massive marketplace of people hiring on a minute by minute basis.
Right.
And the struggle is the teachings or the trainings.
And I've partnered with someone to do it, and he's being really, 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 really slow. And so it would probably be good for me to just spend some more of my bandwidth to figure out a solution to creating and maintaining those trainings on Replace Myself. Because it really, really is a good, helpful thing that kind of markets itself because people want it.
Exactly. You're solving that call from your friend. She's done in half an hour. That's it. That's the pain point.
Right.
Then they go on Facebook because they just don't know what else to do and just to waste time, and you can get them right there.
Right. It's terrible.
All right, John, this has been an absolute blast. I'm so glad you finally got to join me. I do want to wrap up on one final question for you.
Great.
This idea I'm working with calling the entrepreneurial gap seems to be this gap sometimes we live in as entrepreneurs, dreamers. I think we're always projecting our personal successes into the future, meaning no matter what we accomplish, to you, you're going to be successful in 3 months when you hit that metric, or 6 months when you hit that next metric, or 8 months when Replace Myself takes off the way it should be. Whatever that is, seconds before you hit that goal, you and I both know you're going to set 5 bigger goals into the future, which puts us into this place. From the outside, you look super, super successful. From the inside, sometimes we just are always looking forward. I would love it right now if you could stop, turn around, and look behind you. You've been at this game for 10, 11, 12 years, created some really, really impressive businesses, and keep the lifestyle that you want. But the highs, the lows, the wins, and the losses, could you just tell me how you feel about this whole journey up until today?
I'm in my late 30s, and I have accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish in life. I, have made good money, and I have a couple of good successful businesses, and I have an amazing wife, and I have 5 really awesome kids, and things are growing. I think, yeah. So if I look back and say, like, things have been amazing, but I think the looking forward is kind of one of the things that sets an entrepreneur apart. Where, like, I'm a terrible employee, and I'm a terrible employee. If I don't have an incentive to do good work, then I do crappy work. An incentive meaning, like, this just giving you work and you're going to give me money. And if I give you good work or if I give you bad work, it doesn't matter. You're going to give me the same amount of money. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me at all. Well, for most people, it works. And so naturally, I think we look forward. But generally, I'm probably a little bit different. That's one of the reasons I maintain my lifestyle, because I'm content with, I've accomplished everything. And, I don't want to lose it. I need to keep maintaining my business and my knowledge. But I don't actually do what you said. I don't actually set that goal and come really close to hitting it and set another goal. Although I do feel some of it. I don't do nearly as much of that as most others, I think.
Impressive. And you're right. That is what makes us entrepreneurs. But sometimes, like, I'm just impressed that you never look back and be like, well, I could have actually worked 5 hours extra a week. It wouldn't have cost me that much and maybe, like, scaled this much more.
Not at all. Never. In fact, I have a friend that's in real estate. He does deals. Like, he flips houses, and he's the best in the world at it. Unbelievably good at it. He's like, dude, you should just work more and make more money. Like, that's not how it works. And I want to ski with my wife. I don't want to just work more. Me working more makes me more money 2 years from now, which is fine. But it's not the same thing as him or most people, where you work harder, you make more money today. I don't design my life around that at all.
Awesome, man. Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. All right, John, we've got to talk about online jobs in sort of passing throughout the conversation. Can you now give the listener sort of the pitch and then where to track you guys down online?
The pitch is that I had a conversation 2 days ago with a dude that I don't really know, but he's running a software business. He says he has a CTO that costs him $150,000 a year. It's a startup. His mid-level developers cost him $75,000, $80,000 a year. He said, what do yours cost? And I said, I have 6 full-time developers. They cost me $1,000 a month each. And I would put them up against any of yours in terms of skills. And that's kind of the pitch. I mean,
that's a pitch.
Yeah. I mean, I have this girl who does my social media, and we have 130,000 likes, and I've never touched it. And, she makes $550 a month full time, and she's really, really intelligent. And in online jobs, there's 250,000 resumes of Filipino workers that you can hire that are talented, and the communication problems that exist in India don't exist in the Philippines. And it's just different than what people have seen before. So
it is. I've been to the Philippines. People are amazing.
It's amazing.
Hard workers.
Yeah.
And OnlineJobs.ph is the website. ReplaceMyself.com is the other website. As well as, I'm going to track down the Internet Business Mastery episode with John Jonas from years and years and years ago, if you want to go back and listen to it. And I'll put all that on the show notes at hacktheentrepreneur.com for you, for when you stop working out or jogging, whatever it is you're doing right now. All right, John, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for taking the time to be so open and honest with me. And please just keep doing what you're doing, because it is awesome to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Today's episode of Hack the Entrepreneur is brought to you by StudioPress Sites, a proven solution that gives you the ease of an all-in-one website builder with the flexible power of WordPress. It's perfect for bloggers, podcasters, and affiliate marketers, as well as those selling physical products, digital downloads, and membership programs. Check out all the innovative features today at studiopress.com/hack. And as a Hack the Entrepreneur listener, you're going to get your first month free. Go right now. That's studiopress.com/hack. That was a lot of fun. Getting to talk to somebody like John Jonas, who I've watched from the day he launched his business. I watched for years really closely because I was really, really intrigued by it. And now just slowly from the peripheral, but I mean, I've hired staff through Online Jobs myself. I've used it successfully. I think it's a great platform. But mostly, I really, really admire the way he so adamantly holds true to the fact of, he used to talk about 17-hour work week, because everybody knows this whole 4-hour work week doesn't work. It's total nonsense. But the 17-hour work week, getting done the things you need to get done, and then not worrying about doing more, not worrying about building more businesses, not worrying about making more money, not worried about getting a bigger audience, but focusing on the things that matter to you, the things like yourself, your family, your hobbies, whatever it is you want to do within your community or yourself. And I think that that's really, really cool. And so anyways, getting to talk to John after this sort of 9-10 years it's fun. It's really cool. And I'm glad I got to ask him these questions. I'm glad he was so open with me. And I'm glad that right now we've reached the point of the conversation where I get to go back even and not only partake in the conversation, but now I get to go back and I get to listen to it as a third person like you. And so I did. I went back through the conversation. And then I went back through the conversation again to see if I had missed something. And so I went back and I listened again. That third time through the conversation, there was one thing that John said. I had missed it the first 2 times. I'm not sure how, but there it was, sitting right there in front of me. It was that one thing. Did you get it? Did you hear it? Let's do it. Let's find the hack.
There's stuff that I can do better than other people. Like, I can be really good at doing pay-per-click. I'm really good at running Google AdWords. I don't ever touch it though. I could be pretty good at running Facebook ads, even though I'm not the most creative person and someone else is better than me, but I could be really good at that, and it could take a lot of my time. But instead I have someone else doing it. And what I find is, because I have other people doing things, my brain starts to solve all kinds of problems, knowing that I don't have to do the implementation of this thing.
And that's the hack. John. I love this. I love this, I think, for several reasons. I love this because it sounds like a typical reason to outsource, to hire people, right? Is sort of that leverage where I'm good at these things and I could be better than other people, but I let them do it and it gives you time. But that's not really the reason. It's a completely different reason, which is, yes, you could do the AdWords, you could do the Facebook ads, you could probably do it really well, and it would take a lot of your time. But by not doing it, not only does it still get done adequately in your business, but it frees you up time to think. And then you even go a step beyond this, where your brain is freed up to think and to come up with these solutions because it knows, subconsciously and consciously, you know that you don't have to implement these things. You are not going to be the person who has to implement these things. Just stop out there listening right now. Just stop and think about all the things in your business that you could do or would like to do if you weren't the one who had to do them. If you weren't the one who had to implement those things, right? And so don't think about it as in the leverage and sort of the thinking, like sort of the hiring people sort of process. This is sort of a beyond that. Just the idea that your brain will come up with new things and new ideas just based on the fact that it's never going to be weighed down by even thinking that it will have to implement these. It's everything that you're going to decide to do, everything that you're going to come up with creatively is never going to be done by you. It's always going to be done by someone else. It's just you're doing the thinking. You are the CEO of your company. This can be done when you are a small company. You could have one extra person outside of you or 2 extra people outside of you. I mean, John himself didn't start with more than 20 people. He just slowly built it that way. And as he needed more implementation because he kept thinking of these ideas to implement them, he would hire more people. And then if you need to know where to hire people, John is kind of your guy for that too. All right, John. Thank you so very much. I had an absolute blast having that conversation. All right, hacktheentrepreneur.com. It's the website. Head over there, get onto the email list, and I think you'll do good over there. I'd like to have you over there and be able to stay in touch, tell you what I'm up to, and also you can get that newsletter every Sunday. Writing, my stuff that's coming through my head. When I take the time to stop and think, like John was talking about, this is what kind of comes to me, and then I'm going to share it with you to kind of kick you in the butt and keep you going throughout the week, doing the things that you want to be doing. All right, it's been fun. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for taking the time to hang out here today. I really, truly do appreciate it. Make sure to check out OnlineJobs.ph if you are looking to hire someone, and if you're looking to kind of figure out the process of hiring, replacemyself.com is the place where John can help you do that. It's been fun. Thank you so much. And please, until next time, keep hacking the entrepreneur.